it's 50 years. Do you believe that? 50 years since we did Some Others Do Heaven. And amazingly, we've never actually talked together, have we, about the show, actually spoken together. And I want to know, how did it come about for you? How did Frank Spencer, that incredible character, come about?
It had already been turned down by Ronnie Barker, because Ronnie was a verbal comedian.
Yes, yeah. Four candles.
Four candles, that's it. And hysterical and a wonderful artist. And then it was offered to Norman Wisdom.
Really?
Yep. And he didn't find it too amusing. So therefore, I was then offered it third in line. And I didn't mind at all. I mean, it was very flattering, but I saw the germ of an idea as I was doing a play called No Sex Please, We're British, and the characterization I created for that role was very inept, very innocent, and so there was a basis for me, but I wanted it to be more physical. I wanted to bring a physicality into it, but still keep reality. That was the main word, and that's quite hard with comedy to think that that's the way you can do it. So what we needed was an actress to play the wife. I wanted him to be married because the voice I was using was obviously very light and quite effeminate.
Good evening. I've booked a room for the weekend. Mr. Spencer.
And Mrs.
Oh, yes, I forgot. Mr. and Mrs.
But it was an innocence. It had nothing to do with his sexuality. There was an innocence about, and wide-eyed. So it was a childlike character. And so we started to. They wrote in Betty, the character, to be his wife, and I said that should show them that he's a married man, and we went back to the courting days, and that was all written in. So then the challenge began to find the lady, the actress, that could play this role, and it was.
Did you find her?
No.
No, what a shame that was.
It was. And there lies the tragedy. And I don't know how. It's no wonder we've never spoken to each other.
If people don't have a break, they begin to get on each other's nerves.
Am I getting on your nerves then?
No more than usual.
That's nice.
Oh, I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry, Frank. It's not your fault. Well, we do seem to have had a lot of bad luck, don't we?
We saw many, many young actresses, all of whom were very good, but there wasn't until we saw the last person, who was you, walk in the door, and it's like we buy a home or a flat, and you walk in, and you know as you walk across the threshold, before you've looked at the rooms, you know there's something about the place. I'm going to buy this.
Betty?
I can't quite believe we're moving, Frank.
I know. We've had some happy times in this room, haven't we? You remember the day we got married? And you carried me over the threshold?
It often happens that way.
Yeah.
And as you walked in, and we just looked at each other, and you started to giggle. But there was because you were a serious actress, which you've got to remember that, and that this was the girl.
Really?
Yeah.
You knew?
We didn't read.
We didn't?
No.
I remember there was a script.
Yeah.
But
no,
I didn't actually touch it because
we
just talked and laughed.
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was a
gosh.
long time.
Wow.
Because when I looked around, Michael Mills, producer, was asleep.
That's
And he was so
Stop
excited
it.
about the casting, about both of us together. He knew he had a tough job ahead. I used to help on the storylines and try and think of things physically that I could possibly do and we could add. And Raymond Allen would very cleverly write round them. I mean, he was the genius writer,
Mm.
Raymond. He was, for me, the innocence
He was Frank Spencer.
perfection. He was. His life was.
Mm.
And he got the news that he was accepted by the BBC when he was a cinema cleaner, and he got a message, and he'd talk like that, and he'd go, "Oh, I can't believe it! They want me at the BBC."
Sweet.
And
Mm.
I'd listen to him, and I'd think, "Oh, I can see how I could do this." I took away the West Country and I just did it.
Yeah, yeah. But he wrote it, didn't he?
Yeah.
He lived with his mother and father on the Isle of Wight.
Yeah.
And he wrote it in the shed at the bottom of the garden.
Yes.
And he used to telephone it through to the BBC
Yes.
from the call box at the end of the
Oh,
road.
we had meetings for months and months and months. It was primitive, and it was.
Yeah,
But he'd
yeah.
come up to London, and we'd work for hours on these